Welcome to Watercoolers Europe 2024. I'm joined by Richard Hall, Chairman of Zenith Global. Richard, you kicked off the event today with a presentation on an update of the market. Could you recap some of the main points from that speech?
Okay, so what are the important things? The first thing is that there are 6.4 million water dispense units in Europe at the end of last year. That's a very big number. And they generated 2.1 billion euros of revenue. So those are the two key numbers. Most of the dispense units are bottled water coolers, just over half of them. Nearly 40% are point of use, and the rest are integrated tap systems, a more premium offering. And in terms of changes, I guess that the main thing is that the industry has come out of a post-COVID recovery into moderate growth, but there is still an overhang from the Ukraine conflict, which is depressing clearly opportunities in some countries.
Okay, great, thank you. You mentioned a few ideas of why the market might have changed over the last few years. Is there anything else that you've witnessed that might be contributing to these changes?
Well, a big one in COVID was health and safety. Another one that's come through is smart technology. So the combination of those two means more touchless, more self-sanitization, more customization, the ability to be more responsive to customer changes and to consumer changes and choices. So those have been two big ones. Sustainability is an enduring one, and service is obviously clearly very important. So those are some of the ones.
Thinking a bit more about sustainability, could you talk a little bit more about that and how that's impacting the water coolers market at the moment?
Well, in a way, sustainability is an underlying reason for water coolers, because you can use a piece of equipment and a bottle for multiple occasions, multiple uses without packaging for individual containers. So that's an underlying reason. But sustainability pervades everything that the industry has to do because it requires transport, it requires energy. And sustainability is affecting not just work practices, but also things down to the size of the cups and the materials for the cups. So there's, sustainability is something that goes right through. And if we're to get to net zero, it has to become more of a priority, not less.
Thank you. Are there any other trends that you've noticed that are relevant to this industry?
Well, there are some big challenges, really, for the industry. So, disruption is a huge one, and we've had the disruption of conflict. We've had the disruption of COVID. We supply chains, trade wars, inflation, but sustainability is also another big one. It's an opportunity. In a way, sustainability is a great strength in the industry, but it's also something to which everyone in business is exposed, because to get to net zero will be a very big challenge. We've got to provide services to consumers and customers that are ever more demanding, want more flexibility and choice. So there's really a lot to contend with.
Sure. And what advice do you have for those looking to enter the market now?
Well, there are very few barriers to entering this market. There's a very strong supply infrastructure, lots of very good companies with technology, with equipment and other support services. So it's relative. The other advantage of entering the industry is it's quite local. You can create a local strength. You don't have to have a much wider distribution for your product. So you can enter on a small scale. Another advantage is that it's growing. It's healthy. So the whole underlying principles are health, and that is what consumers are looking for. And I think another advantage is, and it's perhaps a bit more difficult for new entrants, is functionality, enhancements to water, choices, flavors, things like that. So there's a lot going on there. I think there's lots of opportunity for new entrants, but there are big challenges. There are good companies already in the industry.
Okay, thank you. And anything else you'd like to add?
I think that the industry can address the future with confidence. I think there's always opportunity for somebody to come in and disrupt in a positive way with new services, but there are also risks. We provide a consumer product which we ingest, and therefore it has to be safe, and we have to maintain very high standards of sanitization and quality and so on. I think the other thing I would mention is there's a risk of government intervention to a greater extent. So I think we can foresee more regulation coming, more taxation of business. Governments are not managing things as well as we would like them to, and we will have to pay a price for that if we don't provide our own self-management and self-regulation, which is quite difficult to achieve. So I would expect more government regulation as an extra challenge.
Just one final question. Do you see this regulation and legislation stifling innovation in the industry?
It always does, but there's always a way around or beyond it. So clearly we can't claim certain things which we shouldn't claim. And I think the management of communication has proved a bigger problem for society at large. But innovation, clever minds will find new ways.
Great. Thank you, Richard.